Burning Rubber is social. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And it's time for a gas and go here. Andrew DeLay, John Dix, producer Wayne, Earnhardt and Budweiser are in the news. We've got a rookie on the pole for the 500, Andy, and so much more to touch on in a quick old gas and go this week.
We got all kinds of really good stuff. We got ARCA running this weekend. We got the trucks. We got Xfinity. Got Formula One, IndyCar, the 600. Good God, by the time you're done watching racing this weekend, folks, you're going to be burnt out.
Well, hey, that's why we call it the holy grail of race weekends. It's the triple threat. You got Monaco, you got Indianapolis, you got Charlotte, and just so much going on between all three racetracks that honestly 24 hours probably isn't enough to fit it all in realistically.
No doubt.
And but I'll tell you what, though, I do want to get started on some news here real quick, and we're going to start it off NASCAR style. So, Andy, I don't know if you heard this or not, but William Byron's in the news ahead of the Charlotte race weekend here. He and Hendrick Motorsports have officially signed a contract extension that is going to keep him behind the wheel of the number 24 through another 4 years, so through the 2029 season. So Byron now 27, he'll be 31 when he comes up for another contract extension.
And that didn't shock me. I kind of figured Byron's in that car until he decides he doesn't want to be in that car.
Pretty much.
He's a good little driver, so good for him. Yeah,
he really is. And couldn't be prouder of the way William Byron came up. I mean, he started as an iRacer, met Dale Earnhardt Jr., and then the road just went from there.
Yep, so. That's right.
But I mean, hey, the same thing happened with T.J. Majors. There's so many other drivers and other people in the sport that got their start by iRacing or honestly just being in the right place at the right time and meeting that celebrity driver, and their careers have just propelled to the next level. So,
yeah.
But speaking of celebrity drivers, and this is one that I personally have been waiting to talk about, Andy, and I could not be happier to finally say this guy is going in the Hall of Fame, and that being Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, yes. Finally, he's and there's some folks out there that don't agree. There's one thing that I heard about Kurt Busch going into the Hall of Fame. This guy, it was on one of our threads on Facebook, said, why not have Jimmy Spencer be the guy that give him the honors?
Well,
that would be terrific, golly.
Oh, my Lord.
It would be. It really would be, because we've seen it in other Hall of Fame inductions, whether it be the NFL, whether it be the WWE, whatever the case might be, and realistically, WWE and NASCAR are about the closest as far as like storyline, setup and everything like that. And we've seen it all the time in WWE where, case in point, Vince McMahon inducted Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why not have, like you said, Jimmy Spencer induct Kurt Busch? That would be the iconic moment of the 2026 Hall of Fame inductions.
Yeah, here's your induction and then a fist fight, right? Awesome.
Oh,
a
little bit of
both of them are too old to get in a fight. They just probably look at each other.
A little bit of hee-hawing and just go at it UFC style, like.
No, Kurt's got to sit down in the chair and just look up at Jimmy as he comes by and goes,
yeah.
Be like, you son of a bitch. But Kurt Busch is not the only one going in the class of 2026 Hall of Fame. Legend Harry Gant, also long overdue to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and legendary Ray Hendrick are also going in this year, Andy.
Yep.
Oh, everyone's saying, Ray Hendrick, that's Rick Hendrick's brother.
That it is. And
no, it ain't. Oh, my God, don't tell me you...
No.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Famous, awesome short track driver. Oh, Oh my God!
Don't get me wrong, though. It would be a funny ass rumor to start that that's Rick Hendrick's brother, but we won't go there.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm excited about Harry Gant. That was one of my favorites back in the
Very
day.
much.
Well, that and, being from the North Carolina area and just right down the road from Taylorsville, where Harry called home for a long, long time, and the steakhouse that he had right over off of Highway 90 in Taylorsville, I had the pleasure many a times of getting to go to that steakhouse and have dinner. Harry would show up from time to time over there and, just say hey to everybody in the restaurant.
Wow.
And then on occasion in the back lot, they had a go-kart track down there that Harry designed himself. And, yours truly got to race on that go-kart track a time or two back when I was younger and a little bit thinner. And, and actually, I think there was one or two times that Harry even got out there and raced the go-karts too. And it was always fun competition to see that be a thing back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so, yeah, really proud to see Harry Gant going in the Hall of Fame. Same with Kurt Busch. And then, of course, Ray Hendrick, the short track ace that he was. And then one last thing to catch up on here, NASCAR-wise, before we switch on out to Indy 500 preparatory. And that being that Earnhardt and Budweiser are back at it again, Andy, and it was announced officially this week that the number 8 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the as far as his late model is concerned is going to have another legendary Budweiser look to it.
That's right. You're going to run the Cars Tour race, if I'm correct.
Yep. He runs that Cars Tour race.
Everybody needs to check it out.
And honestly, and I'm looking at the car itself, just like the little, how they do the curved 3D setup on it. And the car, now this is on speedsport.com too, folks. So if you want to see the article, you can go over there and look at it, or we'll also get it up on our Facebook page with the picture so that you can see it as well. This car, I mean, it's that solid white look that Junior had in Daytona back in 2004. And, with the red number 8, Budweiser red, everything just it just screams classic beauty, in my opinion.
Yeah. It does look good.
Really does. Really, really does. All right, so now we got to move it on to IndyCar here real quick. And folks, we'll be touching on NASCAR points and other tune-in dates and other information here towards the end of the Gas and Go. So do be hanging around for that. We'll be talking about that here in just a few minutes. We got to talk IndyCar, though, Andy, because, we're literally days away at this point, 2 days, 48 hours or less away from the Indianapolis 500, the 109th running of such. And we know Roger Penske has a huge hand, not just as the owner of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He owns Team Penske. He's got all this other stuff going on in NASCAR. And they have had some major personnel changes just in the last week alone. One of those being Tim Cindric, who was the president of Penske Racing.
And all goes back to the disqualification of the Penske cars for the Indy 500. I don't know how Tim Cindric was involved in that, but Penske was pissed off.
Rightfully so.
He cleaned house. Well, usually race teams, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's the old thing. But no, Penske said he was done with that. He wasn't putting up with that. So he basically just cleaned house. And honestly, probably lost the pole, in all honesty, for the 500. With his cars being put to the back of the field. There was a push to disqualify, period, the Penske cars from the 500.
Yeah. And you, me, and Zach were talking about that on Monday, too, where they had that issue in qualification with the disqualification because of that, too. Kyle Larson, who originally qualified 21st, is now going to start 19th, where those two cars are going to end up going to the back of the field. So starting 33rd and 34th, or 32nd and 33rd, rather, respectively, when in reality, I'm with you, Andy. They should have, if the penalty was harsh enough, which I forget what the penalty was right off the top of my head. That's why I'm saying if it was harsh enough. Realistically, what they should have done, they should have disqualified the cars and let the two in that possibly would not have made the field just as a learning experience and be like, look, this is what happens if you fuck around. You will find out.
Well, I believe that if it wasn't for the owner of the track that owned those cars, he probably would have been kicked out.
Probably so.
Yeah, and also you got Joseph Newgarden and all of those guys, you know, big names in IndyCar. You know, just for the fact of viewership for the folks that watch IndyCar, you know, you don't want to throw out the big name. Right. Not that I care, throw them out.
Right.
But that's probably some of the reasoning there.
Most likely. But yeah, so Tim Cindric is gone, Ron Rzuski is gone, and then general manager Kyle Moyer. All three of those are the three that have officially lost their positions when it comes to Penske Racing here. And per news reports, Luke Mason will take over as the race strategist. Raul Prados will be the race engineer on Joseph Newgarden's number 2 Chevrolet as he attempts to win the Indianapolis 500 for the third straight year. And that car will be 32nd in the 33-car field. Ben, and I'm not going to butcher the name, Ben Bretzman has been elevated to race strategist. And then, of course, Malcolm Finch will be the race engineer on Scott McLaughlin's number 3 Chevrolet. Jonathan, now, I almost thought it said DeRudris for a minute, Andy. I don't know why I was thinking that one here. Jonathan Diaguad, again, I'm probably butchering that name, is now going to be the new race strategist, and David Faustino, will be the race engineer for Will Power's number 12 Chevrolet. So looking here at the article, Andy, it does actually confirm what the penalty was for Newgarden and for Will Power. And it being that the rear attenuator had been modified, which is apparently against IndyCar's rules. Now, they don't mention what happened to Scott McLaughlin, so honestly, I'm not even gonna question it here. So, but realistically, now this says that I'm not an engineer. This says that you're not an engineer, because at this point, I have no idea what the hell that even is. We need Jeremy Taylor to kind of figure that one out.
No, I don't think he know what it is.
Yeah, he might not on an IndyCar.
Yeah, hey, it's worth a shot though, right? I mean, worth a shot. Call up JT, be like, hey, you know what a rear attenuator is by chance? And but either way, your last bit of news that we're going to touch on here before we get ready to get out of here for Memorial Day weekend, and that being that the Indy 500, Andy, and this was announced on May the 20th, so right after we taped the original show on Monday, that it is officially sold out.
Yes.
And so that place is going to be freaking busy this whole weekend. And and honestly, it warms the heart to see that so many race fans are going to be attending that, along with Charlotte, and then, of course, the handful of wine and cheesers that are going to be at Monaco for the Formula One.
Yeah,
all right.
One of my favorite races in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what your points rundown is here.
Well, I mean, because we didn't cover it on Monday like we sometimes do here, so we're just going to hit up on all 3 series as we're getting ready to head into Charlotte for the weekend, and it's going to be an interesting weekend, folks. Coke 600 weekend always never fails to impress when it comes to unique strategy, just everything in general that is Charlotte Motor Speedway. Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, all your top 5. No change in points from this past week. Tyler Reddick, Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Logano, and Bubba Wallace at the top 10. No changes there after this past weekend. From 2 weeks ago in Kansas. And then Prime Video. I said it before, Andy, and I'll say it again. Streaming is the way of the future. And we're going to see it on Prime Video for the first time ever this weekend, May 25th at 6 o'clock. So, folks, if you don't have a Prime subscription, why? I'm surprised you wouldn't if you don't already.
Yeah.
Prime Video is going to be the place to go watch that. As far as the Xfinity Series goes, Texas from a couple of weeks ago here, Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, and Jesse Love, your top 4. Brandon Jones up 2 to 5th. Carson Kvapil down 1 to 6th. Jeb Burton up 2 to 7th. Ryan Sieg up 1 to 8th. And Sammy Smith down 1 to 9th. Harrison Burton jumps 2 to the top 10. So that is a quick rundown of your Xfinity points. And don't forget, folks, they're going to be live on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. over on the CW. And then the beautiful part is, and this is my favorite part, honestly, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from Charlotte Motor Speedway will be live tonight, that being Friday, May 23rd at 8:30 p.m. over on Fox Sports 1. You got Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Ankrum, Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski, and Jake Garcia, the top 7. No change there. Lane Riggs up 1 to 8th. Caden Honeycutt down 1 to 9th. And Stuart Friesen, Andy, got himself back up into the top 10.
Good for him. Hey, now I know you say you drive by his shop every day. Is it still open? Remember, he was threatening to quit.
No, it's definitely still open. I still see people going over there every day. So,
okay, well, good.
Yeah.
Stuart, we're pulling for you, buddy.
Yeah, Homer.
That's gonna be a good race.
Homer Friesen Racing is a pretty cool little spot to pass by every day right here in the Statesville area. So, really good stuff there. And then of course Ben Rhodes, another notable here. Down 1 out to 11th, getting overtaken by Stuart Friesen. But that's going to do it, folks. It is that time. We are going to get ready to wrap it up here. I'm producer Wayne. That's Andy DeLay. That's the NASCAR chef John Dix. And from all of us to all of you, have a very safe, a very happy Memorial Day weekend. Remember the troops who sacrificed for this country and gave literally the greatest sacrifice that any one person could, man or woman, and that is giving their life to save this country. Happy Memorial Day weekend from all of us to all of you, and we will see y'all again bright and early on Monday.